A warm good evening to you viewers of Cafdil TV. Welcome to today's edition of Religious Vocation Digest here on Cafdil Television. We thank God for another Thursday evening, and as usual we come in to listen to a vocation story by a consecrated person. But before then, let us take a short break here. When we come back, the conversation will begin.
Since time immemorial, God has always communicated himself and his will through various voices: the prophets, the kings, the judges, not forgetting John the Baptist, who was a precursor to Jesus Christ and gave us the will of God. We bring to you Voices from the Valley. This is a program designed by the Conventual Franciscan Friars in Ghana in collaboration with Cafdil TV to bring you in-depth insight in our faith, catechesis, and various Catholic teachings which will help you in your journey as a pilgrim. I know you cannot miss this program, and I highly encourage you that you shouldn't miss this program because it is Voices of God from the Valley of prayer and silence. Join us this and every Sunday at 3 p.m. and a repeat on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. here on Cafdil TV and on our various social media platforms: YouTube, Cafdil EDU, and Facebook, Cafdil Cape Coast. Let us meet and share what God has for us through the Voices from the Valley. Make me a means of your peace.
Welcome back from that short break. I am Sister Marian, your host. Today we are going to have this discussion with Edom. I don't know whether you know who Edom is. I know you know of the Friars. And as we learn every day, today our guest is Edom. So I'll go to him as he introduces himself to us. And then the conversation continues from there. Edom, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, sister, and good evening to you all viewers. I am Reverend Dom Louis Osei Kwejo, or Kwejo Osei, OSB. Yes. So I am a monastic. I am a monk from Cristo Boase Monastery, which is a monastery that is 36 years this year, in August 6th. So we're contemplative. I am a contemplative. And I wouldn't want to go into my age and things like that, but well, when we continue the conversation, you can actually deduce and add and subtract. I have been a monk for 15 years now, 7 years in solemn vows, I would say. And basically that is me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one would ask, why would a nice young man like you choose this path?
Yes, an abbot once said, sometimes when you get asked these questions, you end up losing the reason why you became a monk in the first place. But at the end of the day, I became a monk, or I chose this path because I realized that was where God was calling me. And I needed a much more deeper life, a much more deeper relationship with my Creator. And perhaps the active life was not going to do it for me. So I decided to go into the contemplative life, which I sought to actually be with my God, as the meaning of a monk. Monos, the Greek word, alone meant. So I decided to choose the path which will actually lead me to being alone with God.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have the Asian monks. I think those ones existed even before the Catholic monastery began.
Yes.
What is the difference between the two?
All right, so I think if we are talking about the history of monasticism, basically it goes way back about thousands of years to come, thousands of years ago. Yes, so as you said, we have the Buddhist monks the Asian, who actually existed far way beyond Christianity. And the difference is, and I wouldn't want to speak for any faith or religion or any practice, but I can only speak as a Christian, as a Catholic monk. Our foundations are rooted in Christ. The Christian monasticism, as we have it, is based on Christ. So Christ is the center of it all, and not our humanness and not our humanity. So humanity is not the center of our monasticism, it's Christ and the cross on which he bought for us victory and salvation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, educate us on the Benedictine monks or the entire congregation. What is your history?
Oh, good. So monasticism itself, or Christian monasticism, is coming originally from Egypt, from Anthony, Athanasius, Basil, right in the desert of Syria, where we had the cloisters of hermits who had chosen the life of living alone in the desert. So the monasticism recounts that people who wanted to live alone either went to the forest, the desert, or the mountains. And so these people went to live alone. And so this is how it came about, that people who had chosen a life of solitude, and then when they realized they were having others who were around, they would meet once a while to worship together. And that brought about Christian monasticism. And we're looking at right about the 200 AD through to 500 AD, when we have our Western monasticism founder, who is Benedict. So I am a Benedictine monk, and so in the year 500 AD, Saint Benedict, born in Norcia. So there is Norce and there is Norcia. So we have to find that we have to outline that. So he was from Norcia or Norcia, and he had a twin or a sister, I would say Scholastica. So they were from a very, very devout family, influential. And this is from the Anici family in Rome, or the Cecilia gens from Sicily. And I say this because that family owned half of Rome. when you go to Santa Cecilia, for instance. So Cecilia, Saint Cecilia, as we know, who is the patron saint of singers or musicians, was married into the family. There is another saint called Francesca Romana, or Francisca of Rome, was also married into that family. So this was very, very an influential family. And when you go to Rome, for instance, the part where we call Trastevere, that was basically huge. And Gregory the Great, the Pope, was also related to this family. So it's all part of this very, very influential. I'm just saying this to prove that this was an influential family from which Benedict came from. And so it's no wonder Gregory the Great was the one who wrote the, not the martyrology, but the history and the life of Saint Benedict. So that is where he came from. And then he decided to live as a monk. So he was a student in Rome. I have been to the house in which he stayed when he was a student in Rome, the room in which he lived, and as we will call it, cell. But at that time it was his room, in his family house in Rome, in Trastevere, close to Santa Cecilia Basilica. And he was learning, he was a law student, and then he decided one day, after hearing the gospel, go sell everything you have and give to the poor. And also, we have to understand, putting it in context, that was the time the barbarians had attacked Rome. And so the cultural fabric, the entirety of the empire was coming to shambles. It was crumbling. And so there was depravity. There was a lot of misconduct in terms of the part of the church and society in general. And so this was the time Benedict is choosing to leave everything and run to the desert, run to solitude. And so as you read his life, it will say that, so he left to the solitude. He sold everything he had, because at this time the parents were supposedly dead. So at this time he left everything, sold everything, and then gave his sister, or lodged his sister, or his twin sister, as some accounts would say, into a nunnery. And then he went into the desert, not necessarily a desert, but the forest of Subiaco. So Subiaco, from the mountains of the mountain in the valley of Sublacum, which is the south of Rome, and at that time it was 15, 16 years. And I've been to Subiaco, I've seen it. It was right in the hills, in the forest. So I could imagine a 15-year-old in that cave. It's just breathtaking, I would say, especially when you go there in the autumn. The priest arrived. What St. Benedict said, and it was interesting, what St. Benedict said is, "Oh, dear Father, I see you because it is Easter." That is to go to say the in persona Christi in capite, that the priest is in the person of Christ. And so if you see Christ, he is resurrected. It is in Christ resurrected, and we are children of the resurrection. And so rightly so, it was Easter, and the priest was led to St. Benedict on Easter Sunday. And so he went to see him, gave him bread, sat with him and drank with him, ate and drank with him. And that was it. So from time to time, he brought him bread and things like that. And so this is the boy who grew up. There were a lot of miracles through his life, even when he was with his nanny and they went through a town, and he performed the miracle of the sieve and things like that. So this is the child who became the founder of Western monasticism as we know it today. And so that is the order I belong to. There are 21 congregations in that order. I was
coming to that.
Yes. So just a quick wrap up of the history. So he grew up, and then he was able to revitalize, because Rome actually then collapsed, as we read in our church history. And then at that time he had brothers, he had a flourishing monastery that it was the monks who in Subiaco were able to keep manuscripts, which was very, very vital in terms of information and the culture of Rome and things like that, and of the empire. So they kept manuscripts of even the original Bible and things like that. So yeah, that is my congregation, my order.
So with the 21 groups, are you still governed by, let's say, one constitution, or they've just separated themselves from the main umbrella?
So in the Benedictine order, as I said, it's 21 congregations. And these congregations are different in its structure, in its manner of life, just that it is all contemplatives. But then we have partially active, partially contemplative congregations. And we are all autonomous.
Okay.
But then we have a person we call the abbot primate. So every 3 years, every 4 years, the whole congregation meets to elect a new abbot primate. And then after the general chapter, then we have the abbot's congress where they elect the abbot primate. And so the abbot primate has no juridical authority over the 21 congregations,
Okay.
but he's just like a figurehead as a liaison to the Holy See for the order. Because in each congregation, they either have abbot presidents or abbot generals, because some of them run as a central structure. Whereas in my congregation, the Subiaco Casanese congregation, if I were to be a Franciscan, I would say I am an OFM, which is the original, as they call themselves, the originals. Yeah. So we are the Subiaco Casanese, which means those monasteries founded by Benedict himself in Subiaco, and later on leaving Subiaco to Montescassino, also in the southwestern part of Rome, to find Montescassino. Montescassino is very, very famous. So that is my congregation. And so we are governed by an abbot president.
Okay.
So which means it is not very central. It's very, very autonomous, because each community is autonomous so far as it is a priory. When I talk of autonomosity, because we have two types of monasteries. We have the independent and the dependent ones. The independent ones are autonomous. The dependent ones are daughter houses of dependent on a mother house or a mother monastery that is helping it. But if you're autonomous, a priory, which is sui juris, which is autonomous on your own laws, then you can actually govern your community on your own laws, and the power is vested in your abbot or your prior, in terms of abbey and priory respectively.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So what do monks do actually?
So it is ora et legis et labora, which is prayer, reading or study, and work. But we stick usually to ora et labora. But Pope Benedict XVI was very, very firm and strong on the legis part of it. And so he tried always, whenever he spoke about the Benedictines, he tried always to mention ora et legis et labora. The ora aspect is prayer, praying 7 times a day, just like in the Psalms. 7 times a day I praise you. And we begin at dawn, because it says, in the night I rise and praise you. At midnight I rise and praise you, as the psalmist will say. And so we go by that. And then legis, as I said earlier on, reading or study, basically. So we study very, very well. We study hard too. And then labora, work. In the rule of St. Benedict, it states that by the hands of by the work of their hands, they are truly monks. And as we all know, if you live by the hands, the fruits of your hands or the work of your hands, then you merit your reward. And so we work, we till the land. In our case, we are farmers.
Okay.
So we cultivate our lands, we till our lands, and then we grow crops, things like that. So
Okay.
that is the aspects of the life.
Okay. From your introduction, you mentioned that you've been 14 years,
15.
15 years as a monk. Take us through your formation process.
All right, okay, so I would say in general, certainly not mine, my own personal, unless you want
Of
my
course,
personal,
no,
okay.
in
But
general.
in the
Yeah.
general aspect of our formation, so it is a year aspirancy. So you do 3 days, a week, 2 weeks, then a month, and then you do 3 months, and then you do 6 months of aspirancy. So that should all amount to at least 9 months.
Okay.
But a year is what we look at. And then you do 2 years, a year of postulancy to postulate. So the aspirancy, you come and go as and when you are called upon by the vocations director. At that time, you are under the vocations director. But as far as you're in the community, you go under the novice master or the postulant. That we don't have the structures of postulant director, novice master, but we only have vocations director and then novice master, who and then his assistant, if he has, then becomes the postulant director in that aspect. But we're trying to reformulate it as it stands now in the community. And then so 1 year postulancy, 2 years novitiate, a year of canonic novitiate, and we don't tell you which one you are. It is your canonical novitiate. And when you finish your canonical year, then you go for a month or two in our sister monasteries. You visit there for community experiences. You go to bigger monasteries and around us we've got Côte d'Ivoire, we've got Togo, we've got Burkina Faso, which is Kubri, Jobagan. These are abbeys. Ours is a priory.
Okay.
So these are abbeys with not less than 30 monks, whereas we are just 9 in our priory, so not less than 30 monks. So that the monk or the formandi can experience bigger communities. So that is that 2 years of novitiate, and then you make vows, what we call the simple vows or the temporal vows. You make that for at least not less than 3 years, but it could also be extended to 6 to 9 years, depending on what your formators think about you. And then, so when you make that vows, it takes that, and then you make final vows. After the 3 to 9 years, you make final vows.
So in all, how many years?
It could go up to 15 years or 7 years or 8 years in total. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why is your case different? Why 15 years?
Oh, well, that is the total number of my monastic journey, but not my formation.
Okay.
No, it's my monastic life in general. That is 15 years. But I was quite lucky. I just had 9 years of formation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was when you did your perpetual vows?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. What we call the solemn vows.
Yes.
Yeah.
About your vows, how many vows do you profess?
That's a very, very good question. So we also profess the what do you call it? Evangelical counsels, but in a different way.
Okay.
So we profess obedience, stability, and conversion of life.
Okay.
Obedience, the usual one in the evangelical vows. Stability, which is a different one, because we are meant to be contemplatives, cloistered monks. So we live at one place, we live in a place and die in that place, because that is our vow, to stay put, not go anywhere. And as St. Benedict once said, that a monk out of the monastery is just like a fish out of water. You suffocate and die. And so we profess the vow of stability, to live also with our brothers, to stay put with them, to be with them in thick or thin, as people would say. And then the conversion of life, conversationum morum, which is that has got, I would say, the poverty aspect of it, the chastity and celibacy aspect of the evangelical vows professed by other consecrated institutes. So that is our conversion of life. That it is, our life is a continuous conversion. And then as you live in the community, as you live in the monastery, you become much more attuned to your surroundings, in tune with your brothers. You become like each other. And in so doing, all of you becoming just like Christ, because we say it is, we are in the school of Christ. And so we have to live and be trained by the Master who is Christ. Yes.
Thank you. We take a short break here. We'll be back.
Since time immemorial, God has always communicated himself and his will through various voices: the prophets, the kings, the judges, not forgetting John the Baptist, who was a precursor to Jesus Christ and gave us the will of God. We bring to you Voices from the Valley. This is a program designed by the Conventual Franciscan Friars in Ghana in collaboration with Cafdil TV to bring you in-depth insight in our faith, catechesis, and various Catholic teachings which will help you in your journey as a pilgrim. I know you cannot miss this program, and I highly encourage you that you shouldn't miss this program, because it is Voices of God from the valley of prayer and silence. Join us this and every Sunday at 3 p.m. and a repeat on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. here on Cafdil TV and on our various social media platforms: YouTube, Cafdil EDU, and Facebook, Cafdil Cape Coast. Let us meet and share what God has for us through the Voices from the Valley.
Make me a means of your peace.
You're welcome back from that short break. This is Religious Vocation Digest on Cafdil TV. We are also live on Facebook, Cafdil Cape Coast, YouTube, Cafdil EDU. We continue with our discussion or conversation with Reverend Dom Luis. You're welcome back once again.
Thank you very much, sister.
Now, tell us your vocation story. You decided to be a monk. Walk us through your vocation journey.
Okay, good. From childhood, I remember once my sister asked me whether I would like to be like that white man on the sanctuary whenever we went for evening mass on Fridays at the Holy Spirit Catholic Church at Bantama.
Okay.
And I said, no, I want to be a monk. And I was 6 years at that time. I didn't know what I was talking about. So yes, as I grew up, I did go to minor seminary for a while, St. Hubert for a while, okay, and then also to Adangomase Senior Secondary School. But then when I completed, I thought of going to post-SHS at St. Hubert. But then I thought, no, this is not for me. Diocesan priesthood is not for me. And so I decided to venture into the monastic life, because then I had started researching, and I researched, and then I thought, well, there is no monastic community in Ghana, so how do I fulfill this desire that I felt to be a monk, to live a life of solitude, to live an inner relationship with God, as I mentioned earlier in my introduction. And once I was seated with my sister in one of her shops, and then a vehicle pickup passed, and there was the inscription on it, Benedictine Monastery of Mount Olivet, or Oliveto in Italian. And so I just got out of the shop and followed the pickup. Apparently, the driver was going to an uncle of mine.
Okay.
And so I saw the pickup parked right in front of his house. And then I went in there and he was like, "Hey, Kojo, you never visit me. What are you doing in my house today?" And I said, No. I haven't come here for you, but for the man who just entered. He said, "Oh, Don Francis." And so this was a monk, an Olivetan monk
Okay.
from Akwaboa. And so I just entered the room and saw him seated. He was into legionary, the Legion of Mary Society and also the Sacred Heart. And my uncle is a great devotee of both devotions, societies too. And so I asked him, "Are you a monk?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "I want to be a monk." He said, "All right, okay, then come and see."
Just like that.
Exactly. And so I went, I was with them for a while before the community folded. And then I was actually recommended to Christo Boise by the superior, to the then superior of Christo Boise. And then I was actually called, and then that's where I am now. And I've never regretted this, and I always say I'm happy. Once I remember one of my formators saying, you're too comfortable in the monastery, because it doesn't seem to be like very frustrating and stressful and challenging for you. And I said, well, if I am enjoying what I have come to, the life that I am living, because that is what I see God calling me to. And so I need to rejoice. I have to be happy, because if I walk around downcast, though the monk should always walk around with with his face down, and just beating himself, saying, "I am a sinner, I am a sinner." But if I am walking around smiling and very, very cordial with everyone in the community, but still sticking to the monastic discipline, then I think there is nothing wrong with me being comfortable in the community. I love what I'm doing, and I know God has called me to it. So that is my vocation journey.
Okay. So you mean to say at the monastery, when a monk is just taking a walk or something, the head should face down?
According to our discipline, according to the rule of St. Benedict, you live, so the monastic life is just like a life of Lent. And so we say the monks live a life of Lent. That is our life. And Lent is much more penitential. And if you're in penance, if you're doing penance, you are very, very remorseful. You are very gloomy and things like. Though Christ says, do not be hypocrites when you're fasting. Oil your faces and shine your teeth. I am adding that. Don't let people know what you're doing. But then at the end of the day, we are in the comfort or in the enclosure. And so we have to be penitent. We have to live that discipline in order for the world to benefit from it. Because it is, as it is said in the Psalms, no voice, no words is heard, but their voices goes on through all the ages. And that is the monastic life. We stay there penitent and pray fervently for the rest of the world, the church and humanity. And so as a monk, you need to be very, very intense. You need to be very, very intensive with regards to your life as a monk. Very penitential. And that is how you live, contemplative and meditatively, walking around every day, because every step you take is prayer. And that is the reason why you're called to that monastic life.
Okay. So your first come and see at the monastery, what shocked you?
I would say it was the environment, the rocks. You've been to Christo Boise, so you know. And I said, God lives here. It was the rocks.
Yeah.
It was the formation of the rocks.
The
And
green plantation.
that is it, the nature aspect of it. And so I thought, I can really pray here. And I have never looked back, and I have, as I said earlier, I have never regretted. So that is what actually got to me. I wasn't shocked, but I felt at ease
Impressed.
and home.
Yeah.
At home, yes.
Okay. So what experience can you share with us as a monk?
That God lives and he manifests himself through his creation, through us, and everything. And he's working through it all. He's working through us. He's working through his creation. And so there is no way you can say, God has no hand in my life. Though we have our wills, our free will, but God has a hand in it. At the moment we allow him to take control, we cooperate with him, with our free will, then his presence is felt. And we become the children, the true children of God. Then we become our true selves. Because as St. Augustine said, our hearts are restless until it rests in God. And so that is our humanity. Our inclination, though we will talk of concupiscence, that, oh, we are inclined to sin, but we are also by nature inclined to God, to do good, to love, and God is love. And so the mere fact that we have that inclination, we have that tendency towards God, though our free wills might determine otherwise, the moment we change that course of our free will that seeks narcissistic gains, self-indulgence, worldly pleasures, and things like that, the moment we turn away from that vices and come to the virtues, come to know God, then we become as him. And then we become our true selves and live in the fullness of our humanity. So I'm saying, let's cooperate our wills with that of God. And then the spirit that nudges us towards God would live in us and then bring to birth or fruition our purpose in life.
Okay. You are Reverend Dom Louis.
Yes.
What's the meaning of the dome?
The monks gained Dom, which is Dominus, Lord, during the plagues in the 13th, 14th century. And so the monks came from the monasteries, from the mountains, from the deserts, to help curb this pestilence, the plague. And so they were catering, they were caring for the sick on the streets, in the hospitals. They had turned the churches into hospitals and things like that. But then the monks caring, the way they cared for it, the sick, the way they helped in actually controlling the pestilence, just like we had COVID about 5 years ago. And then it got to a point where, as the monks approached people on the streets or passed through the streets, their shadows falling on people, the hems of their habits touching people, these people were getting healed. And so people saw the monks and they will fall to the ground and say, "Oh Lord," just like Peter or Thomas the other on last Sunday saying, "My Lord and my God." So people regarded the monks, the moment they saw the monks, they were like, "Oh Lord." And so Dominus came into to birth. And so we gained that name during that century, that we were in the person of the Lord himself, because at the sight of monks, healing and happiness came, I would say. Yeah.
So at what stage does one merit that title? Is it after first profession or even when you start with your come and see?
Technically,
Okay.
the moment you are clothed, you are addressed as a dom. So clothing means the moment you enter novitiate,
Yes.
you are
Or
called
otherwise, investiture.
investiture, as you would say it, but we will call it clothed,
Okay.
clothing. You become a dom
Okay.
in the monastery. So yes, it's novitiate. Yes.
Okay. You just landed from Italy, right?
From Rome.
From Rome.
Yeah.
Okay. What exactly
That is
were
not
you
to say
doing?
that is different from
No,
Italy.
I know,
yes,
I know, I get it. You wanted to be specific.
Yes.
So what
Yeah.
were you up to?
Yes, so my community sent me to become a priest for the community. St. Benedict says in his rule that if the abbot or the prior needs a priest in his community, he should choose from one of his monks, of his brethren, and have them ordained by the diocesan bishop. And so that is what my community did. We've been in existence for 36 years now, and so far we've had 2 Ghanaian priests. One is already dead, and then all the rest have been expatriates or superiors. And so we've always struggled when it comes to, most especially during the time that we had only the superiors who were expatriates, Europeans from our mother houses in Plascaden in Scotland. When they went for their annual leave, we had to actually import priests from our sister monasteries, because being monks is much more difficult to get diocesan priests to come in to say masses for us. But then if we have our own brother monk, then it is easy. So we imported brothers from other sister monasteries like Togo, Nigeria, even from Plascaden itself, Prenage, or Chilworth. And so we realized, no, we need to train our own. And so we had Father Bartholomew Banze, who was our first priest. May God rest his soul.
Amen.
And now we have Reverend Father Anthony Boafo, who is our second Ghanaian priest. So
hopefully you read the third.
exactly. So the community needed priests. And if our prior retires now, it will be only Father Anthony. So why not begin another journey of searching for or training another to become a priest, so that at least if the prior retires and returns home, which God forbid, we hope he stays with us.
Yeah.
And I know he would not be happy to hear that. But yes, we hope he stays with that. It will be only Father Anthony. And so it was appropriate, it was deemed necessary to have. And so this is an obedience upon me as a brother of the community to help my community in that capacity. And so I'm saying that to say that I didn't choose to become a priest, because you don't choose in the monastic setting
I was
to
going
become
to
a priest.
ask that,
Yeah.
if you could clarify that, because I know that from beginning of formation, one knows whether he will be a priest or a brother. But I think it's not the same with your congregation.
Yes, it's not the same with our congregation. It's much more a thing, basically it's a decision by the community. And if I say the community, that means the abbot or prior and the community.
So
and
you don't decide
you don't
that
decide,
you want to be
but
a priest.
You don't decide. In the olden days, or previously, it was strictly just you were told you are becoming a priest, and that's it. There was no discussion, there was no dialogue. But in my case, there was a dialogue. I was asked to think about it and to give an answer to that. And so we've actually moved a bit. Just to mention to people who think monks are still living in caves and we're still very, very secluded from the world and we don't know what is going on. And so I get this a lot. Why are you out here? We thought you people even did not speak. Well, we don't have deaf and mute in the monastery. We are normal human beings. So, yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So there is an advancement. We are evolving. But the core, the centrality and the core, what you call the status quo of the monastic life still remains. Yeah.
So with these laws or constitution, however we may call it, how are you able to convince young men to join your congregation?
Yeah, so speaking about laws, and before I forget, so we have several things that governs the congregation or the order. We have the rule of St. Benedict. That is the main, the fabric of the monastic order. We have constitutions governing each congregation. And then we have the ordinances. And then we have statutes, basically. And then we have customaries of each community. And so this is where we operate from. And all these have got to be in accordance to what the rule says, and the rule actually in accordance to what canon law states, and so what what will I say, the precepts of God says. And most people will say the scripture, yes, basically, but the precepts of God says. So we work accordance to that. But then with all this, how does one come to it? Is a life.
Yeah.
And even in our lives as normal day-to-day human beings, we abide by rules. We have what we call the natural law. I know that if I say something bad, inappropriate to sister, I will go back and think about it, or my conscience will prick me and say, that's what you said to her was wrong. That is natural law. It's just humanity, that what is right, what is wrong is wrong, before we get to what we call the civil laws, or in the church we have canon law. So it's a natural thing. So as we live, I'm just to say that there are rules and principles and regulations for everything. So it shouldn't be a difficult thing to say, I'm getting into this life, and so there are a lot of rules governing this. No, it's principles. And we live our life by principles, by the rules. And the rule, as I said earlier, is we are in the school of Christ, and Christ is our teacher and master. And so if we want to be Christian, then we live by that rule, which is the cross.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's I wouldn't say it's easy. It's got its own challenges. It's got its own setbacks. Very, very difficult. It could be very, very frustrating to live in community with the same people, the same sort of character, the same kind of behaviors. But then friction creates smoothness. And as the Kan proverb will say, which means the two woods close, basically two stems close by actually rubs against each other. And then the friction causes a smooth surface, and then you wouldn't see the friction. So that is how community life is. You have to know the community dynamics, and that is what we live for. We are much more community-centered people. And so if you want to live the life, you have to have your community dynamics intact. You have to know that I'm living with people, and I have to be able to assimilate and just not compromise, but be who you are, and God will make things happen. Yeah.
Let me ask this once again. You are back for good. With the vow of stability, you are going to be in Christo Boase for life.
Yes.
Are you prepared?
That will be asking too much. But I would say, by the grace of God, I am prepared. And not that I am hiding behind the grace of God, but I've yearned to be back home. And if you remember, I said a monk out of the monastery is just like fish out of water. I have had my episodes of suffocating. And so I am very, very, I miss my brothers, I miss my community, I miss home, I miss Ghana, and everything that has to do with it. And so I am happy to be back, and I pray and hope that I will enjoy my time back home as a monk, which I miss so much, because I've been outside the monastery, though I had my communities around, and but I miss my community life, my routinous life very much. Yes, so I'm happy and hopefully I would be happy in getting back to the routine. Yes.
Yeah. So if you're just joining us, this is RVD on Cafdil TV. We're having a conversation with Reverend Dom Louis. He is going to invite all of us to his ordination. So over to you. When and where is the ordination?
Thank you very much, sister. So, my dear beloved viewers of Cafdil TV, this is Reverend Dom Louis Osei Kwejo or Kwejo Osei, OSB, and I've been training for the past 4 years in Rome at the Beta College, the Pontifical Beta College, and I'm a deacon at the moment. I was ordained in St. Paul's outside the walls, where we have the tomb of St. Paul's, and the time is up for my presbyteral ordination, and this will be on the 9th of August with my SVD brothers in Kintampo at 9:30 a.m. in the morning. And so I invite you all to come all, to join me and my brothers with the ordaining episcopate or the bishop. And I hope we will pray together, because I need your prayers and I need you to be there with your presence to also support. So you're all invited. 9th August, 9:30 at Kintampo, St. Joseph's Parish. Thank you.
Thank you. I should have asked this question in between, but it's never too late.
No.
Who qualifies to be a monk?
It's kind of an interesting question to ask. It's just like I once during the conclave I asked my and I'm going to answer the question, don't worry. I asked my canon law professor, and I said, so Father, who do you think would be elected the Pope? Just to get his idea of the big names that were up and things like that. And he said the one who would be elected Pope would be one, a male and a baptized Catholic. And so
Interesting.
the one who qualifies to be a monk is a male and a baptized Catholic. We have the nuns too, so that I would not be actually persecuted by the politically incorrect language tutors. So the sisters too. So we have the nuns. I think here in Cape Coast we have one of our communities here. Exactly. So a female and a baptized Catholic can become a nun. Yes.
Okay. Before we conclude on today's edition, your parting words for our cherished viewers.
Yes, I think I've said it all, dear viewers of Cafdil. Stay true to yourself. God is for us all, and what we have to do is to yearn for Him, because we already yearn for Him, and that's how come it gets to a point in life we realize we are still searching. We realize there is something missing. No matter how successful we become, materially or in terms of acquiring wealth, we still feel there is something missing. But I am here to tell you that is God. Without God, we are nothing. And so you cannot do anything and everything without Him. Let us believe in God. Let us trust Him and in His Son, Jesus Christ, through the Holy Spirit that encourages and empowers us. Love God, search for Him, and know Him.
Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you very much, sister.
Love God and search for Him. This is how we wrap up on today's edition of Religious Vocation Digest. Thank you once again,
Thank you very
Reverend,
much, sister.
for coming straight to Cafdil TV. As soon as you touch the ground of Ghana, we are privileged to have you, and we appreciate what you have shared with us. I believe that with this, many young men would be educated on the monastic life, and then especially those who have the vocation, so that when considering options, they will consider being a monk also. We pray that we get vocations from there. And I know that one day you come back to Cafdil TV to attest to the fact that after your conversation, you had young men coming to join your congregation. And we wish you all the best in your new ministry as you prepare for the priesthood vocation.
Thank you very much, sister, for having me. Thank you, viewers, and have a good evening, I would say.
Okay. Yeah, so we concluding on today's edition. If you watch this program online, don't keep it to yourself. Share with friends and family, and then send some messages, nice things, sweet things to Reverend. And then when you say a prayer, remember to say a prayer for him also, even as he prepares for his ordination. And those around Techiman and Kintampo, and then also Kumasi, you can go and support Reverend. After the ordination, just tap him on the shoulder and said, "Father, I came for you." Let's do this again next week. Until then, have a good evening.
As I kneel before you, and I see your smiling face, every thought, every word is lost in your embrace. Ave Maria,
Since time immemorial, God has always communicated himself and his will through various voices: the prophets, the kings, the judges, not forgetting John the Baptist, who was a precursor to Jesus Christ and gave us the will of God. We bring to you Voices from the Valley. This is a program designed by the Conventual Franciscan Friars in Ghana in collaboration with Cafdil TV to bring you in-depth insight in our faith, catechesis, and various Catholic teachings which will help you in your journey as a pilgrim. I know you cannot miss this program, and I highly encourage you that you shouldn't miss this program, because it is Voices of God from the valley of prayer and silence. Join us this and every Sunday at 3 p.m. and a repeat on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. here on Cafdil TV and on our various social media platforms: YouTube, Cafdil EDU, and Facebook, Cafdil Cape Coast. Let us meet and share what God has for us through the voices from the valley.
Make me a means of your peace.